Hey everybody, welcome back to the Time Pass podcast. This is your host, Ashika. Thank you so much for being with me today, you guys. If you haven't done so already, please like me on Facebook at Time Pass Podcast. Follow me on Instagram at timepass_podcast. And check out the YouTube channel where you can watch all the episodes of the Time Pass podcast. You can find the link to that in my bio, on my IG, or on the website, timepasspodcast.com. If you are an auditory listener, wherever you are tuning into the Time Pass podcast, please make sure that you are liked or subscribed on your listening platform of choice, wherever you listen to podcasts. All right, you guys. How's everybody doing? I am still recovering from my broken ankle, and the good news is that I'm upright. I'm on two legs now, and I can walk very short distances for very short amount of time. But I'm walking every day to try and get better and get back to 100%. And I'm hoping that things will be looking a lot different for me by this time next month. All right, you guys, today I wanted to talk about breathing in the positive and exhaling the negative. Okay, I think that negativity around us, negative comments, haters, whatever it is something that a lot of us deal with. I know personally, prior to my social media presence and starting the podcast and having the YouTube channel and the show, this weekly show, I think a lot of what people thought about me or a lot of what was said about me was probably done behind closed doors, and I had no idea of it. But I think the minute that an individual, and it doesn't matter what you're doing, it doesn't matter if you're pursuing your own career, that is not what people thought or expected you to do, or marrying somebody that is just not the norm for your family, or I'm immediately thinking of South Asian, so like marrying somebody of a different race. Whatever it is that you're doing that is making you happy, and it may be making you a leader in some way, or just you're doing something that's not in the mold. I think anytime you do something like that, you open yourself up for criticism. And I think because you take that bold step, essentially you're leading. You are a leader. And people love to tear other people down. It's really sad. And I think there's many reasons why, and we're going to talk about it here. But I've experienced a lot of negativity here and there. It's been almost 2 years since I started this show. My social media presence, I'm always posting at least daily, posting a TikTok or a reel on my Facebook and my Instagram and TikTok. I've got the show coming out weekly on YouTube and on the streaming platforms. So I think I have opened myself up for a lot of criticism, but, how do you get over that? And why does it bother us so much? So I think regardless of what you're doing, we've all experienced negativity in some way, shape, or form. There's always going to be people that don't approve of what we're doing, how we're doing it, or what we're saying. And I will start off kind of like I normally do and introduce a couple personal stories here. So I'm going to start this first story, and this happened when my social media short form video content started increasing, when I started posting more reels, posting more TikToks. At the time, I had a very good friend of mine, and she actually started inquiring about my reels. Okay, guys, like social media, yes, I use it to promote the show, but I also use it as a place to have fun, to make jokes. Like, I'm funny. Like, I think I'm funny. Okay, let's clarify that. I think I'm funny. So I love to make jokes. It's a place where people can express themselves, be themselves, have a laugh. I don't think it's really like, it's what you make of it. It's a form of art, and it's all subjective. So it's what you make of it. And so this friend of mine, I had posted a reel about, and it was on TikTok, but anyway, I posted this video about friends with benefits and how I was like, nope. And it matched the sound, right? It matched the sound, and the theme of it was very on brand with the Time Pass podcast and on the show. And she's known me for a little while, not forever, but she actually said something to me, and she was like, what was with that reel you posted the other day? And I was like, oh, what? That's funny. It's on. I was like, but she's like, but like, she's known me, old me, new me, you know, like then me and now me. And she's like, but you don't really feel that way. And I was like, I do, but what does it matter? I was like, it's on brand and it's social media. Like, people sometimes think that because they knew an older version of you, that that's still who you are, and nobody gets to tell you that. Like, nobody gets to tell me that. So maybe I allowed something in the past, but I'm not allowing it now. And I thought it was a really odd comment at the time, in the fact that not only has she said something to me about it, but she had asked another mutual friend about it, like, what's up with her video? You know, kind of like starting that talk, like the behind the back talking a little bit. And I knew about it, so I just basically clarified exactly what I had told my other friend when they asked me about it. I was like, it's on brand and it's fun. It's social media. Don't take it so seriously. And then I noticed another comment she would make. She would often ask me, she was like, what filters are you using for your videos? Like, what filter do you use? And I'm like, everybody uses filters. Like, granted, I sometimes use filters and I sometimes don't. If you're watching this on YouTube, there's no filter. It is me. I have one favorite filter on Instagram that I like to use sometimes, but I also have a podcast and I am recording content all the time, so I have really high quality lighting around me. I like to play with light, and especially daylight and sunlight. So sometimes some of my videos or photos, even a lot of my selfies, I try not to use any filter on, but they look different. They look more polished depending on how you're using the light. And then when I do use that filter, I mean, all the content you create on Instagram or TikTok will basically tell you when you're watching it if a filter is being used. It'll tell you in the upper left-hand corner on Instagram. And I just thought it was really weird, because I just felt like she was picking apart all my content and what I was creating and missing the point of the actual content, but really just picking apart what I was doing. And I didn't really know how to handle it. And I think that was kind of the first time that I was like, oh wow, like, yeah, you can open yourself up and do things, but like, people will take things in a very, very different way than how it was originally meant. And I could tell you that that friend and I aren't on speaking terms anymore, because I just found that from that, like, different situations happened, and I was starting to get antagonized a little bit for everything that was going wrong in the friendship. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. And finally, I just was like, hey, let's step away. Let's take a little break. And it has been a really healthy break for me, because that's not something I need to worry about. The second time I received some feedback really hurt my feelings a little bit. I would have to say this was last year, and I was at a family event, and I was around a lot of extended family that I hadn't seen for a long time. And it was also like my first time in a long time being around these people. And don't get me wrong, there were so many people that welcomed me and were so excited to see me that I was super excited to see. But there was like the younger generation that's probably on TikTok and Instagram and all that stuff that we're on. And somebody had walked up to a family member and was like, hey, do you remember Ashika? And they're like, oh yeah, we already met. We already did everything. In fact, we're going to go make a TikTok together. And then this group of people just like started laughing. And it's like that moment when you're in a room and you realize like, oh, I'm the butt of this joke. Like, I'm the butt of this joke. This has been something that they have talked about on their own, obviously, because everybody else that was there, and it was just a group of like 3 or 4 people, but there was at least 3 people that all like laughed when that was said. And that is how I knew that like, oh, okay, they've been talking about my content. Even though they don't really know me, they've been talking about my content. I think that one hurt the most because when you're not around people, not the most, but it hurt a bit because when you're not around people and then you're around them again, and I have such an innate desire to be liked, and I think a lot of us do. I think a lot of us want to be liked, and a lot of us want to fit in, and I think it's been ingrained in us from a very young age. Like, hey, you should fit in, you want to get along with the group. But when you look at that and then you think about everything you're doing that I just talked about, like you're breaking the mold, you're leading, you're stepping away from what is the norm, you already don't fit in. So don't try to fit in with people that don't understand what you're doing. And so for me at that point, I was like, okay, like, I'm not petty. I'm also not good with confrontation. So I'm just like, I don't need to be BFFs with you. Like this relationship doesn't need to be anything more than a, hi, hey, how are you? Whatever I run into you. And I've stuck with that. And it doesn't bother me because those people, if that's how they feel, like I don't want to be close with those kinds of people if they're going to talk about me like that. So the third time, I think a lot of people, especially like extended family, there's a lot of speculation that happens that I didn't realize happens when people are watching your content and consuming the content that you're creating. And a lot of it can come from family members, extended family members. And this was just, it can be hard. And not all of it's bad or negative, but like I have a family member who recently and my mom as well has made this comment to me. They don't really understand the voiceovers with TikTok. They don't understand like the trend, and that's like what you do. That's literally what TikTok is finding a good sound or creating your own sound and going with it. And I tend to create my own sound when I'm posting about the show, but I love to use, viral sounds or sounds that I like that resonate with me and spin it to fit my purpose of whatever it is that I'm doing, whether I'm telling a joke, having fun, being silly, or promoting the show and what I talk about here, which is basically relationships and dating. So I had a family member reach out to me like, be yourself. Like, and my mom has said this to me, like, I hate when you use those voices. And I'm not offended by that because that's a generational thing. Those are, 2 people from the older generation. They don't really understand what the purpose of TikTok is or how it all works. So, and my mom was pretty honest with me. She's like, I don't like it when anybody does that. And I've seen other people doing it. She's like, it's just weird to me. So she doesn't really understand the concept, but you still hear that feedback and you're like, okay, you have to like think like, okay, they're not hating on me. They just don't get it. It's not their generation. They don't get it. They don't understand it. And then I've had people like reach out to my mom, and they won't even reach out to me. That's the thing. They'll reach out to my mom. Everybody knows I have a broken ankle right now, but it's called batch content, people. Like sit down and make a bunch of batch content, and then I bank it and I release the content as I feel. And so I, was basically, and still am in a cast, and I was releasing content, and I had family members like, oh, she's better. Like, I saw her. She was walking around and dancing in one of her videos that she posted recently. And I'm like, It's old. It's batch content. It's content that I had from prior to getting hurt. So it's just weird to me. And then I've heard comments like, oh, she changed her hair. I think she got a haircut. Or she changed the way she does her makeup. Like, I think there's something different with the way she's doing her makeup. And I'm like, what does it matter? Like, people will speculate about the weirdest things. And it's like, what is it? They'll speculate about my weight. Like, oh, you look like you've lost weight. You're really working out. Or like, oh, I see you going to the gym all the time. And I'm like, yeah, you can say that. I always post when I'm working out. But they're like, oh, yeah, you lost weight. Like, what are you doing? Are you working out? And I'm like, yeah, people will speculate about anything and everything. And it's just out there. And you just have to learn how to deal with it. And it's not, it's not great. But you got to take it with a grain of salt and learn how to deal with it. The last story I want to share is the content I post and the stuff I talk about can definitely be misconstrued and taken the wrong way as well. I've had it happen to me twice now, where said friend that I was talking about earlier, I posted a reel, and I think that this person thought that reel was a personal attack on them. So later that day, lo and behold, I'm now like unfollowed and removed as a follower from their account. And I was like, really? Like, really? And you're not even gonna, I mean, I understand that friendship was already, on the break, but like, if you really felt that strongly about it, you should ask me about it. And I recently did a show, and a family member assumed that the content was about them, and it wasn't, and just kind of went off on me one night. And I'm just like, art is very subjective, and different people will take things different ways. And I think a lot of times if somebody takes things a certain way, it's really not about what you're doing, but it's more about their own insecurities or their own guilt that they have. And it's not really anything to do with you. And neither one of these people actually approached me to have a conversation about it or to ask me what the content was actually about. And I found that it's not my job to make it better for them. It's not my job to please them. If somebody's going to take the way I present myself, my show, or my content a certain way, and they are in my life, then they can come to me and have a conversation with me about it. But if they're just going to take rash steps, I'm not going to do anything about it. Like, if you're just going to take something you hear or see on my page and mold it into whatever you're thinking and not even bring it to me first, that's a you problem. That's not a me problem. And so I'd have to say it's difficult. It's difficult. And these are just a few stories that I'm sharing about dealing with the negative energy or dealing with miscommunications. And a lot of times you care about these people, like that family gathering, that really hurt my feelings. Like, I think that night I went home and I called my mom and I actually told her about it because she wasn't with me. Like, things can hurt your feelings, and it's really hard sometimes to find ways to cope with that negativity and receiving it, because we all feel bad when people don't like something we do. Especially me, I feel bad when somebody doesn't like something I do. And that's okay that I feel bad, but it's not my problem to make it better for them. That's on them. If you take something that I've said or done and you feel a certain way about it and you don't bring it to me, that's on you, man. That's not on me. So I found this great article on lifestyleallwomentalk.com about dealing with negativity or dealing with quote-unquote haters. And there were 7 tips, and I like these. The first one was ignore them. Honestly, that's kind of where I'm at, especially with that friend situation. Like, that is a positive for me. It's like, I was already kind of over that relationship, so I saw what happened. Do I need to address the situation? Absolutely not. I don't need to. So just ignore it. A lot of times ignore it. Even what happened with my family at that event, I ignored it. I didn't say anything. I didn't do anything. Those aren't my people. I think you need to realize that sometimes not every person is your people. They're not all your people. So if they're not your people, don't waste your energy on them. It's really pointless. The second was take it with a grain of salt. Honestly, like, you know, the second situation where somebody didn't took something I said on the show to themselves, you know, I responded back and tried to explain my side of the story, and then I just let it go. Like, take it with a grain of salt. Like, yeah, okay, you're gonna go off on me. This is what I have to say, and that's all I can say. Like, that's it. I'm done. I'm not gonna focus on it. I'm not gonna try and make it better. It's not my job. It's not the way I felt. It's the way you felt. And the way you feel is subjective to only what you are assuming or what you think you heard or what you think you know. The third thing is don't retaliate. Like, what am I going to do? Am I going to be mean to my friend and go and unblock her, this ex-friend, on all my socials? No. Am I going to say something mean at a family event to a fellow family member? No. Am I going to cut off all communication with my extended family and this other family member? No. It's just not worth it. I'm not about the drama. Like, don't retaliate. Let it go. And then the fourth is don't apologize. I'm sorry. If you feel some type of way and you're not going to actually bring it to me and have a conversation with me about it, I'm not going to apologize. I feel the way I feel. I said what I said. I made it for a reason. If you're not going to talk to me about it, I'm not going to apologize about it. Number 5, don't try to please everyone. And I talked about this already. Like, when I plan shows and I talk about situations on the show, I try not to use names. There have been several names that have been used on the show in the past because those people have been okay with it. But I really try not to use names because I want to protect people's identities. But then also, like, I don't want any, you know, lashback from any of that. And then also, like, this is my show. It's about my life, my experiences with people, and you may be one of those people that I had a situation happen with. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to antagonize you, but I am telling my side of the story. I am telling how I feel about it. My show, my point of view. You may not like it. I cannot alter my thoughts and feelings and stray from what I want to say because I'm worried that one person won't like it. Like, there's so much stuff I've talked about on this show that my mom just hates. Like, if I tried, can you imagine, like, being South Asian, if I tried to talk about dating and relationships on the show and tried to please my parents, it would be the fakest thing you would ever see in your entire life. See or hear. So, you can't please everyone. Adore them. Honestly, like, part of me is thankful because it's like, okay, you're consuming my content. I'm making content. It's made to be consumed. You're consuming it. Art is subjective. You're allowed to have your feelings just like I'm allowed to have mine. So adore people that are essentially your followers, your fans, your listeners. You're the reason that I'm here and doing what I'm doing, regardless of what you take from my content. You are part of the reason that I'm here and still making content. So go you. Not going to take it personal. And number 7, haters gonna hate. Like, anytime you put yourself out there, there's always going to be 3 people that are going to be, you know, pointing at you and picking you apart. So you just really have to find a good way to deal with negativity and deal with negative comments and feedback. And I think a lot of that is having a good, personally, okay? So personally, besides this list, I think a lot of it is having a good circle around you. And I have a really small circle, like small, tiny. Besides my immediate family, it's probably like 1 or 2 other people that I share almost all of my life with. So that's a really small circle. Granted, I have a shit ton of friends. I've got huge, lot of acquaintances, a lot of friends that I know, but as far as like my inner circle, super small. And when you find, like I did with that friend, that it's someone in your inner circle who is bringing the negativity to you, you have to remember, and I saw this recently, I actually saved it as a sound, so you may see it on my Instagram and TikTok soon, but it's, you cannot change the people around you, but you can change the people around you. Surround yourself with positive people. Surround yourself with people that are going to cheer you on and not talk bad and bring negativity to you. Surround yourself with people that are going to give you honest, constructive criticism and not just bullshit. You know, what filter are you using? Well, why did you say that? Like, really? Really? So I think that is a lot of how I deal with things. Like I said, when I had that situation happen at the family event, the first person I called was my mom. You know, like, have those people that you can go to with things and they'll understand like what's being said and what's happening. And I think a lot of times when people do say negative things, it's their own insecurities, it's their own guilt, it's their own jealousy. Sometimes they want to be able to step outside of the box and put themselves out there, but they could be holding themselves back and they see you doing it, and so they become a little jealous about that. So I think a lot of times what helps me, like it did with that friend that was like, oh, well, you know, why did you say that? And it was like, well, why do you want to know? I start thinking like, well, why did she want to know? Like, what is the reason? Like, ask yourself deeper. Like, try to put yourself in their shoes. Well, like, why would they think that way? Okay. Now, why did they feel the need to ask you? Just get back down deeper into it. Like, it helps. It's easier to explain if it's talking about something that I feel myself. So let's say I saw something and I was super offended by it. And I would sit there and think, you know, well, why am I offended by this? Well, it's because of the content or the way it looks or this. Okay, well, why? Well, because it's against my morals and it's against what I stand for and it's against this. Okay, why? Because I inherently believe X, Y, and Z. You know, get deeper down into the issue. And I think a lot of times you need to think, you know, why does this person feel the need to say something or be negative towards me? And then keep asking why and keep trying to answer that question until you can maybe understand their point of view a little bit better. It is hard. In short, it is hard to deal with negativity and negative situations. It's not easy. I would definitely find a circle that you can confide in and that is supportive. I would definitely try de-stressing yourself. For me, that's like working out, having a good time with my friends. And I would definitely try to look at it from those 7 steps from that article. You know, what can you learn from the comment? You can always learn something from the comment. Maybe what they're saying is valid and you're like, okay, well, why would they feel that way? Okay, well, maybe they felt that way, but this is actually what it was. But I can see now why they said that, because they probably thought that. You know, you can always learn something from the negativity, and if all else fails, fuck them. Just ignore them. It's fine. Inhale the positive. Exhale the negative. That's all I got for you guys today. If you haven't done so already, please like me on Facebook at Time Pass Podcast. Follow me on Instagram at TimePass_podcast. And make sure that you like, follow, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I would greatly appreciate it. If you are a Time Passer, you love tuning into the show, do me a favor and share the show with at least one other person. I would greatly appreciate it. Somebody who's maybe dealing with some negativity in their life or bullies, or, you know, just having a hard time dealing with negative comments, please share this with them. It's something that we all go through. I hope you could all relate. And if you have some tips on how you deal with negativity in your life, I would love to hear it. Feel free to shoot me a DM or email at timepasspodcast@gmail.com. All right, you guys, regardless of what you're doing, you're putting yourself out there, you're being a leader, you're dealing with negative feedback or haters, stay authentic to who you are. I'll see you next time.